Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us at Tipsy Testing, Inflectra's weekly virtual happy hour. This one is our 11th Tipsy Testing, and as usual, we're going to be talking about software testing, quality engineering, DevOps, automation, remote work, live in general. So without further ado, please welcome an international speaker and inspiration to all women in tech, Melissa Tondi. Thank you, Melissa, for joining us. So here is a question about speaking at conferences. So what advice would you give to testers or others, I would say, aspiring to get accepted as speakers at tech conferences?
Generally, if you're part of any meetups, especially local meetups, there's always a call for speakers coming out. And so I would say that definitely collaborate with local meetups so that you can start getting some practice. For the most part, the bigger conferences really look for people who have either something very, very compelling to say and speak about, and they can show that, or where you've gotten enough good feedback on your talks that you've given at other conferences that'll kind of maybe move you up.
Another thing I found very interesting is if you can find a topic that's not well served. So I started doing ones on API testing, even though that's not really what we do as a company, but I found an area that was often missed out in the program. And so if you can find an area that people aren't all doing, like if you're doing yet again another talk on the Selenium page object model, there's probably a bunch of people doing that. Find something different. If you can find a niche or a niche that hasn't been served well, that often will get you into a conference.
In addition, I think having, and not that I'm a big fan of kind of the catchy titles and stuff, but if you know the theme of the conference and you can tie your abstract or your title to that theme, that's also a compelling thing, and that generally kind of moves your submission up, or at least it gets the eyes of the people who are reviewing that.
What is the one thing you would change about the testing/DevOps culture?
The thing about the culture is, I think also it's the idea that testing is not necessarily testers, but doing testing is to find things, it's to understand risk, it's to understand the context of a system, the user's experience and expectations. And I think the one thing about the culture I find, and I fall into this trap, is that when you find things out, it makes you sad. Oh no, we just found a bug, or we found an issue that it's really, well, really, this is great. We're understanding the system better. In many cases, our users are pushing the envelope. They want to use it in more diverse ways, and because they're using it in this more diverse way, we've completely forgot something. None of us realized it, not through any ill intent. So I think it's moving away from that feeling in the pit of your stomach when you see a bug being logged or a test failing or requirement that's not right. It's like, oh no, this is okay. This is how you make systems better, how you improve the usability, the functionality. But I think you have to get away from that emotive, sinking feeling when you see that bug being logged. You want it to be perfect, but it's never going to be perfect. Quality isn't perfect. That's the whole point.
That's such a great point, because I think that, when you could then kind of merge in the DevOps world and the testing world, one of the, themes, or one of the statements that you'll hear very often, and certainly DevOps, is automate everything, or automate as much as you possibly can, right? And so from those from the testing world, we know that automating everything should not be the goal. It's to automate the right things. But what automating the right things allows us to do is it allows us to quickly test the things that could be critical, so that we can fail early and fail often, and then learn from those failures.
It's probably where DevOps could learn from marketing. I was just thinking, because you come from the marketing side of the company. In marketing, you're constantly measuring everything. You have a new marketing flow, a new onboarding experience. You have Google Analytics. You have all these tools monitoring everything, and you don't expect to get perfection. You expect 50% of the marketing spend to be wasted, and you're trying to optimize to reduce that. But you're constantly measuring and monitoring. I think in development, developing meaning DevOps, not just development itself, the whole thing. We're trying to get perfection, and we don't think about monitoring and feedback. And I think a lot of people could use Google Analytics and tools that marketing people are using in software to get real-time feedback post-production.
What do you think about testers working remotely on a full-time basis?
First and foremost, whether you are virtual or physically co-located or located, if you don't have collaboration, it does not matter whether you're remote or physically in the office and sitting right next to somebody. So you have to emphasize the collaboration, then make sure that the tools and technology that you have in place support that collaboration.
Yeah, where you think of the QA team being called out remotely is when what they're really asking is, if you're dealing with an outsourced QA function that your company is contracted with on an SLA sort of basis, and then the rest of the team, the project managers, developers, are all in-house, then you're creating a non-collaborative atmosphere. You're creating a, oh, well, they have to find 100 bugs a day. They have to find 100 test scripts per day. It becomes this machine/factory, and that destroys the collaboration. Then they say that, oh, they're agile, but because we have one guy we'll have on site, and the rest are all remote. And I think for the most part, it's more about how is the testing team's relationship with the rest of the company? Is it an outsourced function that's not really valued? Or is it truly a peer group that has the same influence as everyone else?
Yeah, exactly. So what is something that people or ourselves should be looking at and watching and seeing as something new and interesting that is developing?
If anyone's heard me speak or has read anything I've written, my platforms that I really put a lot of emphasis on is quality engineering, and kind of defining that by a quality engineer is both technical acumen and user advocacy, and we're using tools and technology and embracing those so that we have more time to actually spend interacting with the software on behalf of our users. So when I think of where are we moving or where should we be moving from an industry, it's really kind of embodying that quality engineer mindset.
I think another thing right now is if the economy is looking like it's going to be more shaky, I think if you're moving out into the world of technology, if you're a programmer and you just want to write Python scripts or you want to write JavaScript, whatever you want to do, become a Node.js expert, that's only one lens. If you can become a programmer and actually understand quality and be able to be a quality, understand holistic quality, you go to your first job, everyone's going to be looking for jobs right now. You're going to have the extra, item in your resume, the extra understanding you bring to the table. Broadening your skill set so that you see quality as a broad set of skills rather than I'm a tester, I'm a developer. Especially right now, people may not be able to afford to hire an AWS expert, but you can test. AWS, you can set up all our environments, and you can write a little bit of scripts here. Wow, we need that person. A developer who can do 20% of the performance, 20% of the security testing. That's it. You're the ones who can, do that right from day one versus having to wait for someone else. It's much more efficient and effective. And in this economy, I think you're right. People are going to want that.
All right, then I would like to thank you, Melissa, and you, Adam, and thank you for all the listeners who joined in today. And I just wanted to remind everybody that we are doing these things every Friday. And for next week, I wanted to let everybody know that we are having a very famous speaker. His name is Damian Synadinos, and he is joining us Friday. That would be the 19th. Yes, at 4 p.m. Eastern. So stay tuned. Thank you very much for joining us. And
Thanks, Melissa. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Melissa.
Great.
Great.
Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.